2023 has been a very good year for video games. It's had many well-known, highly anticipated titles releasing in a relatively narrow timeframe. Early in the year we got The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and soon after we got release after release. Pikmin 4, the Resident Evil 4 remake, Final Fantasy XVI, Armored Core 6, Baldur's Gate, Diablo 4, Starfield. These are large games with large audiences that had big expectations before release. And there were also many smaller games that nevertheless had impressive quality. So it goes without saying that the Game Awards, specifically the Game of the Year award, would have stiff competition. In fact, there'll be competition into what just gets into the nominees. There are usually 6 nominees, and which 6 deserve to compete for the award is going to be a topic for lively discussion, I'm sure. Now, my favorite game this year is Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon. It had amazing gameplay and a very rich story. A story that really spoke to me, and I thought just got better when it was expanded on in the new game and New Game Plus. Armored Core was a fantastic game, and it definitely met the standard of quality that From Software fans have come to expect from that company. But Armored Core 6 is not going to win Game of the Year. It is my favorite game this year, and I really hope it gets nominated for Game of the Year, and I hope that it wins an award in a different category. Maybe Best Action or Action Adventure, but it's not going to win Game of the Year. That honor is going to a game that I like a lot less, but that deserves it more. And that game is Baldur's Gate 3. Now, this is not a review for Baldur's Gate 3. The game came out to near universal praise, and I don't think I can add anything worthwhile to that conversation. So it's not a review. I just want to point out why I think it's going to win Game of the Year. And that's because it's a turn-based CRPG. And that is not a popular genre. Nobody plays those. That is a specific genre for a niche audience. Turn-based CRPGs don't sell 10 million units. They don't generate long-lasting media buzz on this scale. And they generally don't attract casual players. They don't have mainstream appeal. And in case you think I'm exaggerating, let me just show you something for context. The director of publishing at Larian Studios made a tweet, and in the tweet he said that effectively 13 million people owned a CRPG on Steam. And that's nothing. That's nothing. Baldur's Gate, by itself, will sell more than 13 million copies on Steam. I think it's at 10 million right now. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which came out earlier this year, sold about 18.5 million copies in under 2 months. More people bought Tears of the Kingdom than own a CRPG on Steam. And forget CRPGs, even turn-based games, which are probably more popular than CRPGs in general, even they are viewed as unpopular or not mainstream. And this is explicitly the reason why Final Fantasy XVI wasn't turn-based. In several interviews, the producer, Yoshi P, expressed a belief that the action genre would generate for Final Fantasy XVI more sales and appeal to a younger demographic. My point is that turn-based CRPGs are at a massive disadvantage. Even Larian cites the genre as one of the reasons that the game was underestimated. Turn-based CRPGs are a very niche genre, which makes Baldur's Gate 3's incredible breakout success and mainstream popularity so impressive. Like, you have to understand how narrow the palette of a normal gamer can be. I have a friend who's a stereotypical mainstream kind of guy. He would never touch a video game that's turn-based. He thinks they're archaic, he thinks they're just something that people used to do because of the limitations of technology. He thinks the only reason people play those games is that they're nostalgic for their childhood or their youth. And that as soon as those old people die off, developers will stop making turn-based games to appeal to them, and the whole genre will be relegated to the dustbin of history. This is a man who doesn't care about stories. He skips cutscenes, and he only plays video games for the gameplay. He's never heard the term CRPG, and I don't think he has the intelligence or the temperament to sit down and enjoy a game with any level of difficulty or strategy involved. But Baldur's Gate 3 was so popular, it was so in the news, it was so universally praised that it caught his attention. And he bought it. And the next time I check up on him to see how he's doing in Baldur's Gate 3, assuming he would have put it down once it realized that it was a CRPG, I found that he hadn't put it down. In fact, This game caused him to have a kind of spiritual awakening I've never seen before. Not only does he plays on tactician. He listens to the cutscenes. He's invested in the story. He's mortified over making difficult decisions. Every time he encounters a new enemy, he examines them and reads their descriptions and what they're weak to and what effects they have. My point is this. CRPGs are still not mainstream, but Baldur's Gate is. Baldur's Gate has a mainstream appeal that the rest of the genre doesn't. It's luring in people like my friend, and its presentation gives them the toolkit to enjoy this kind of game, a kind of game they otherwise would never be able to enjoy. It's going to win Game of the Year because it deserves to win Game of the Year. Its success is evidence of its quality, because it achieved that success despite being the kind of game that a year ago my friend would scoff at. And that's a much bigger achievement than anything the other large games this year managed to do. And that's the end of this video. As always, thank you very much for watching.